So what we're going to take a look at down here, and it's something we come across in pretty much every hedgerow and anywhere we find nettles really, is something called dead nettle. And you'd be absolutely right having a look at this and thinking it's stinging nettles. So this is probably, well it is without a doubt, the most common thing that we confuse with stinging nettles. Can't be pulled apart overly easily just from looking from a distance, but when you start to look at closely, like with pretty much every wild plant, there's key distinguishing features that separate this from stinging nettles. So let's take a look. If we start with the leaves, pull this one. They're very similar to those of nettle. They're slightly teardropped in shape, so more triangular towards the base and taper and come to a point. They are serrated, so you can see there's a saw-like edge to it, and they're hairy on top and on bottom, but they don't have the needles that nettles have, so you can touch them without stinging. Typically, towards the end of the plant, you can see here where the two leaves connect to the stalk, you have the bases of flowers, and you can see under this top one, we actually have flowers. Now this is one of the distinguishing features, the easiest, most visual way of telling that it's not a stinging nettle, because stinging nettles doesn't produce white flowers, pink flowers, purple flowers. The dead nettles, there's a couple of different types. They produce different coloured flowers, and they're bell-shaped, just like this in here. The flowers themselves, bell-shaped, like I say, colours range. They can be white, they can be pink, they can be purple. There's a complete mix, but that's one of the key features between this and standard stinging nettles. When we come to the stem, it's hairy all the way up it. And actually one of the distinguishing features of this one, again compared to a standard nettle, is that a nettle has a rounded stem with ribs running up it, whereas if you actually look at this one, it has 4 clear, distinct sides to it. It's actually part of the mint family, and every member, as far as I'm aware, of the mint family has that key distinguisher, 4 sides to the stem. If we look at it from a food point of view, the flowers are quite nice to enjoy just as a quick snack as I'm wandering down. So if I pick them off like this, pull them out, if I've beaten the bees to it, I can almost breathe through it, like it's a little trumpet, but instead of blowing the trumpet, I'm sucking air through it, and I get a little hit of sugar. They're quite nice. They can be used on their own, so I can also pull them off, and I can use those as a decoration on top of my food. So I've done a dessert, or I've done a main course, or anything I'm trying to impress people with, I'll just chuck a couple of these white flowers. If I can find some of the dead nettles that have pink and blue flowers or purple flowers, that'll make a nice variation. I can chuck those on top of food to make it look nice. The leaves themselves are edible, but similar to nettle, the stalks can become fibrous. So what we want to do is pick off the very top 3 sections of leaves. And we can pretty much use that however we use nettles. We can eat it raw, although like I said earlier, the leaves and stem are slightly furry, so it doesn't have the nicest texture in your mouth. But I can wilt it, I can fry it, I can use it as a spinach substitute. It's got a really nice earthy flavour. Yeah, from a food point of view, not really too much bother distinguishing this from nettles, because you can use the same 2 in very similar circumstances and very similar recipes from a very similar point of view from cooking. So that's dead nettles.